Hello, you are welcome. It's the Millionaire Teacher Show. It's so good to see you today. How are you doing? Dan, the Dan, the great teacher, you're welcome. Thank you for joining. You are welcome. Hi, welcome, Design by Bookie. It's been ages. You are welcome. You are welcome. How are you today? It's a sunny Saturday. I guess this is about like the first sunny Saturday in the month of September. It's been raining, pouring heavily. Oh, our guest is here. Uh-oh. Hello, you're welcome. You are welcome, everyone. You're welcome. Yes, I hope you're enjoying the day. Hello, free week sellers. You're welcome. Hope you're enjoying today. Oh, yeah. You are
Thank
welcome.
you. Thank
Welcome,
you.
Lucy.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
You are welcome. Welcome,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Welcome, everyone. It's so good to have you here today. And we are going to be talking everything about teaching, teachers, education, the journey, the story. It's not always gloomy. It can also be blooming as well. So you're all welcome. Welcome. It's good to have everyone join us now. You're welcome. And look at our very, very beautiful um what was the adjective that we use for delightsome guest? Can you see the light radiating on earth? You're welcome, Lucy. It's
Thank
so good to have
you.
you here. You're welcome, everyone. So Lucy, how's your day been? How's today's been?
Awesome. Awesome. To be honest, I don't know. This is Nigerian factor. So, I mean, just few minutes before this live session, the power went off. So I don't know. I hope my lighting is good. So
Oh my God.
I'm so sorry. Yeah, I'm so sorry. We have to just manage
Wow.
this.
But we can't even tell
But
from here. The lighting
yeah,
is still very good. We can't tell from this end. So you're welcome. Thank you very
thank you.
much for joining. Thank you for not having an excuse not to join, despite it or we show up. Today is the last day of the month of September, and we've been showing
Yeah.
up all month through.
Yeah.
So nothing's gonna stop us, no matter the situation. We keep showing up. That's it. As long as you can show up for others, you are
Yeah.
you also should show up for yourself. That's one of the things that I'm
Exactly.
running with these days. Showing up for myself,
Exactly.
very, very important. Because I always have excuses not to show up for myself, or procrastinate, or push it aside and all that. But because I don't want to disappoint this person, I show up for others and all that. But now it's about time we don't disappoint ourselves, because
Yeah.
5, 10 years from now, our younger self will ask us, so what was your excuse? Why didn't you? Why didn't you? So we don't want to have reasons not to be able to answer that. That's why we need to always show up for ourselves. All right, so thank you very much. Now let's dive right into it. We're going to start by introducing our guest for today. You're all welcome to the Millionaire Teacher Show. Just in case you don't know where you are or what this is all about, this is a series on my journey, my stories, where teachers come to tell their journey and their story in education to inspire others, because we learn from each other's journey and stories. All right, so quickly, let me read the bio of our guest so that we'll get moving. Lucy Oche, the Childucator. She's a Childucator. Have you heard that before? You'll hear from her today. Okay? She has a drive for early childhood education. She's on a mission to transform lives through education. She's a light to young minds and the teacher's growth partner. So if you're looking for a teacher's growth partner, this is the person to contact. Lucy is an uncommon teacher. She believes in lifelong learning and that learning should be as thrilling as finding a treasure. Lucy thrives on sharing her learning moments, teaching tips, and hilarious classroom experiences on her child education blog. So she'll be bringing some of the things that she shares on that blog here for us today. And it is a space where parents and educators can find gems of knowledge. So on her blog, you can find gems of knowledge from there when she's talking about her experiences. So I would encourage you to go check up her blog. So Lucy, you're going to give us the link to the blog so that people would go there right away. So you can connect with her on her social media and also to continue to foster conversations with like minds. So you can connect with her on her social media. Her social media is here. You're already seeing it. Lucy Childucator. So just click on like and connect with her quickly. All right. So thank you very much, Lucy. Thank you everyone that is joining. All right. So Lucy, let's go right into it. You said Childucator. Before we come to that one is cooking. Let's just keep it by the side. Before we come, what inspired you to go into teaching, education? Because I know that you have a master's in early childhood education. So I don't see sometimes. Okay, so let's just go deep into it. What inspired you? Why teach? Why teaching? Why education?
All right, thank you so much. To be honest, if I'll be very honest, I'll say that teaching found me by chance and by choice, like I usually say. By chance, because I didn't apply to study education in the first place. I didn't apply for it. I got into education by chance. You know, the normal thing now, Nigerian system, when you write your JAMB, you fill form, you know, you want to study medicine, you want to study political science, national education, you know, all those courses that we think they are it. But Nigerian happens to you, and then you just find yourself in another department or faculty where you did not even apply for. So that was what happened to me at the beginning. You know, I applied to study psychology, but somehow along the line, I when the admission came out and all that, I discovered that I was given education. I didn't like it. I was like, what on earth? In fact, when I even saw my admission letter, I saw primary education, early childhood education. I'm like, what's that? I've never heard of that course ever. Like, I said, what's that? I'm like, which one is primary education? What are they doing there? What's the education is not even one serious education in quotes. They put primary. I'm like, what's the meaning of that? That's how I started searching. Thank God for Google. I started Googling. I was like, okay, what's this course going to be about? What are my career options? What are the opportunities for me in this course? So that was how I found myself studying education. To be honest, I didn't accept it. For the first 1 year, I didn't accept it. I was just that regular education student. I'm just going, you know, sometimes I would not even go to class. I would skip classes. I would just say, oh, what are they doing here? And I found the lecture so boring because maybe because it wasn't something that I opted for in the first place. So along the line, it was the lecturer that sparked my interest, because when we took one course in early childhood, it was a man. a man in early childhood, and he was making waves in early childhood education in Nigeria. And I'm like, wow, a man in early childhood, then that means this is actually good. This is actually good. So with the encouragement, we started, putting in more effort, and then the interest came in along the line. And I figured out that in this early childhood education, I'm still studying psychology because I have to learn, but I had to take courses in psychology for departmental developmental psychology. I had to take developmental psychology to know how children develop, the stages of development and all that. So I'm like, well, it's more like using one stone to kill two birds. So it wasn't a bad choice after all. So that was how I fell in love with education. And that's it. That's the short story. That's the short story. Yeah.
Wow, thank you very much. Your story reminds me of my own because it's closely related and all that. And how when I was in the faculty, when I started my journey, I would always identify with my friends in the Faculty of Science because I studied science education. So we used to juggle the Faculty of Science and education. So even till today, some people actually thought I was in Faculty of Science. They didn't know I was really studying education because I just didn't want to identify that. What's that? Education? What's that? So you can imagine. I understand that really. All right. So thank you very much. So that was how you got into early childhood, and then you studied it and embraced it. And for you to have a master's now, that means you fully embrace it to the big bear of like there's no running away. It's big. We are in this for life. We are going to face this and move on with it. All right. So now the next question is Childucation. What brought about that name, Childucator? Because I don't think it's a very common slogan or name.
Exactly. I honestly, to be honest, I can't even really describe what brought it about. Okay, I think, yeah, when I started like actively after studying and going through school and all that, on my first teaching job, like I'm not talking of the, what do we call it, teaching practice and all that, my first real teaching job, I figured out that it was not the same. I was in the classroom, and then I had lots of questions. Like, I actually knew the theory of this whole teaching and education, the whole theory of learning and all that. But when I was in the classroom, I found myself struggling. I'm like, what? What? So there's a difference between theory and practice. And I thought to myself, like, okay, I might not be the only one in this situation. Why not have an avenue where I can, help other people that might, just come in. Maybe they're newbie teachers, maybe this is their first time in the classroom, like having the classroom to yourself, or maybe, you know how it is now, teaching jobs. Some people just settle for teaching jobs because that's the available option. I'm sure that there are people struggling like me in this space. So why not make something, why not put out something out that will help people, find their way and navigate. I was brainstorming. I'm like, what name will I call myself? How do I identify myself? What do I do? I needed, and as at that time, I figured out that blogging, like WordPress, was the best for me as at that time. Like, I needed to just, put out my thoughts and all that out there. So I was brainstorming. I'm like, okay, so what will I call myself? What name will I call myself? What name will I call myself? And bam, I'm like, okay, I am a children's teacher. I am an educator. So I just took the child and tour together, Childucator. And then I came up with that, and that's it. So I decided that will be my level. That's what I want to be identified as. So that's it, yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, thank you very much, Childucator. So now, when you came up with that label, how was the reception about it? Like, for myself, I started calling myself the Millionaire Teacher, and there's a background story to that, right? Sometimes, so it started with, some people will say millennial and not millionaire. And I'm correct that it's not millennial teacher. It is, I know I'm a millennial, right? But that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying a millennial teacher. I'm saying millionaire teacher, like This is what I'm identifying and all that. So how did you navigate through people confusing it, Childucator, and maybe trying to understand, oh, what was she about and all that? How did you get people to accept it or accept you as that?
Well, a name is a name. A name is a name. Like I didn't have much challenge, getting people to accept. It's just that the thing is the pronunciation. Most people would say child educator. I'm like, no, it's not child educator. It's child educator. Like there's no edu in it. So most times I had to correct people to tell people that it's child educator. Okay, and but it's just a name. It's just a name, and that's what I want to be identified as. So there was no fuss around it per se. So it was just there. It's just that I had to correct people over time that it's not child educator. Even most times, even till now, when I am working on stuff, I get that autocorrect always. I had to just put it to my dictionary. I'm like, excuse me. Excuse me, I had to add it to my dictionary. I'm like, well, it's a name, and it's my name, and I choose to go by it. So that's it. That's it for me.
Thank you very much. So now, can you describe your experience from your early teaching years to now, where you are, like when you started teaching? You mentioned that when you started, that was one of the things that brought about the child educator name, that
Yeah.
the theory was different from the reality, right? So can you just take us through that experience?
Okay, so my first classroom experience, it was a rocky start, to be honest. It was a rocky start, but thank God I had people around me to help me through the process. And it's an unending journey of learning. Even up until now, I am still learning. So when I started the whole education thing, like actively being in the classroom, I had to learn different stuff. Like, what would I call them? Should I call them soft skills now? I should call them soft skills, because those things, they are not actually taught to you in the classroom or like through your education, but then you had to learn it. Like I had to learn how customer relationship. That's something that most people, we don't learn in school. I had to learn how to interact with my parents, make them how to, interact with them even when they're upset, how to, settle the issue if there's an issue at all. And of course, I had difficult parents sometimes. I had to learn how to navigate, and meeting different parents, different personalities. I had to learn the different personalities of these parents and how to relate with them. I had to learn that. And then with the children, I had to learn their unique form of interaction. Like how do I get these children, each one of them? In fact, at the beginning stage, I'm teaching, it's as if no, the children are just all over the place. I had to learn classroom management. Yeah, that's another important thing I had to learn on the job. I had to learn how to get my students or pupils attention and keep it, so that they will participate and participate actively in the lesson. I had to learn all that. And as a child educator, I had to learn a lot of rhymes. I mean, nobody. I'm like, why wasn't there a course in school where we had to, where it was just rhymes? I don't know. Maybe the curriculum has changed now, but during my time, there was no course like that. So I had to learn a lot of nursery rhymes because children love those things. There's just no way you're going to teach children without singing and dancing and jumping around. I used to think I'm a serious person, but as soon as I got into the classroom, I had to, learn, like, that's uptight seriousness. I had to throw it out the window, like jump around, play, roll on the floor and all that. Like, it didn't come naturally. It came by practice over time. I kept doing this and doing it over and over again, and I can say it's a walk in the park. So that's it. That's it for me.
Oh, well, okay. So you mentioned something about rhymes, like it was not included in the curriculum, and you can imagine learning early childhood education. At what point did you notice that it was not included in the curriculum? Was it doing your first degree or doing your master's, or it was never included in any of your curriculum?
It wasn't included in any of them. It's just something that you get into school and then you see that, oh, that's what's happening here. I need to learn it. I need to go on YouTube. I need to find out what cocomelon is. I need to, all those kind of stuff. It was not included, actually. It was not. But we had classes on creating instructional materials and design and all that. But the rhyme part wasn't there. It wasn't there. So I guess along the line, it's something that teachers just know. I don't know. Teachers just know. They just pick it. I feel like they just pick it along the line. So that's it.
Well, this is a very, very interesting topic that needs to be dealt with, because just imagine going through early childhood and then you go to a school. The school expects that, oh, this teacher is coming early childhood, you should know everything about early childhood and all that. And then just set you up. And you can't relate to the children with rhymes. And they're like, so what did you learn in school? Do you understand? Wow. Okay, this is interesting. I didn't know this part because I didn't study early childhood education, so I didn't know this part. But I know that Jolly Phonics, people that go through the Montessori courses like MMI and all that, they learn Jolly Phonics along the line of their Montessori program. Right. Oh, thank you very much. This is a very good eye-opener. So now, can you tell us, you mentioned primary and early years, the course you were given, right?
Yeah.
So what class do you actually teach now?
Right now, I teach nursery.
Okay.
Nursery, within the age of 4. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So that is like the highest nursery class, and that's what you teach, right?
No. Reception is the highest. But for now, I'm with nursery here. That's 3 to 4 ages. 3 to 4 ages. 3 to 4. Different schools call the different things. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. So now, can you tell us, like, share some of your moments in your teaching journey? Like, there are some moments you want to share with us, and the things that you learned from those moments and all that.
Okay, there are quite a number of moments. To be honest, as a teacher, I feel like you get these moments every time that it's really difficult to actually pinpoint and pick one and say, oh, this is it for me. But one that, really stood out to me, and then I'm still considering that option, to be honest, was the time when they brought a child with cerebral palsy to my class. It was a summer session, and for some reason, that child was attached to me like my handbag. And that was like early on in my career, and that was like the first encounter I was going to have with a child that had special needs. The child could not really, he was not, what will I say now? He could not really communicate. Yeah, he couldn't communicate, and mobility was quite a challenge. So he couldn't really move around. He was always on his chair. But that child would not leave my side. That, to the extent that the mother had to come to me and ask. She said, what did I do to her son that every time he is always shouting, school, school, that every waking moment, that as soon as he wakes up, he's shouting, school, school, school. And that, as it's where I was the teacher, not the assistant teacher now, or neither was I the caregiver, but that child would not allow anybody feed him. He wouldn't allow any other person take him to the restroom and stuff like that. So there was just this, I don't know, was this attachment that we had during that period. I just really liked the boy. And along the line, I just figured out that he was a really smart child. It's just the fact that he was what do I call it now? His motor sense, that's his movements, that's the fine motor, and the gross motor wasn't properly developed. And that was it for me. And since that moment, I don't know, it just happens to me that if there's a special needs child, there's just this attraction. There's just this attraction I have to them, and I'm beginning to consider, should I go and do something in special education or something? It will be a good blend. It will be a good blend of, early childhood, special education, and I'm really, really thinking about it. I'm like, okay, maybe I should give it a shot, but it's still a thought in my head. It's still a thought in my head. So I don't know. Maybe it might be next year. I might just wake up and say, okay, I want to do something instead. So really, that's one very unique experience for me. And I must add that before the end of summer school, that child started making attempts to feed himself. That was joy for me. Serious one. I know that was the highlight for me, to be honest. And I think I shared that story on my blog years back. I think I did. Yeah.
Wow, that's so touching and also inspiring. So you can imagine that child's growth was dependent. Just imagine if you were not there, what would have happened to that child? Do you understand? I've had children attaching to me in my years of teaching in the early years, like all through, for every year, there's always that one child, and everybody will just be like, I'm spoiling the children and all that. But it's not about me spoiling the children. I didn't know, like, one that really surprised me was I just joined a school the year after COVID, right? And then this child was in the school before COVID. We resumed after COVID, and the child just saw me and attached. The mother had to ask if I was a teacher before then, and I said, no, I just joined the school. Because the way the child attached, it was as if there was no other teacher in the school before then. Do you understand? So I can understand that attachment. That attachment is always needed. Children, there's a word for it that it has just skipped my memory now. It's coming and going. Something present.
Positive attachment.
No. It's something present. Like it's coming and going. Sorry. Let's just continue. So children use that as a way to help them. Like they see, right? And once they see you as a safe place, it's easier for you to communicate to them. It's easier for you to help them achieve their milestones and goals that you want them to achieve. But just imagine someone in that process, someone had told me, just be pushing him away so that he'll be strong and all that. Pushing that child away doesn't make that child strong, because I actually tried it. And at the end, I saw that the child was beginning to withdraw. So just imagine if I did not notice that the child was withdrawing and take it up again, that child would have withdrawn and would be struggling in school. Yeah. And then you'll be wondering, what is wrong with this child and all that. You will not go. But the moment I noticed that, I said, no, you people will not come and spoil this opportunity for me. It was an opportunity for the child to achieve a whole lot while the child was still with me. And I can really quite understand where you were. Though that child was, for me, all my children were not special needs. So I can't really relate with the special needs aspect. But so you can imagine that for you, it was a special needs child that needed that extra, right? And for me, it wasn't a special needs child, but that child also needed extra care. So this extra care doesn't just come from being a special need. The child just needs that person to identify with as their safe place in the school. Yes. Because they've left home and like, oh, my mom is not here, my dad is not here, people that I know and all that. So this is one person I can attach to as my safe place. All right, thank you very much for that. So can you tell us what were some of your challenges in your teaching journey?
Some of my challenges, like, well, when I started my journey in the whole teaching career, I just did not understand why the job can be so stressful with little cash following. I mean, I keep wondering. I said teachers do the most. I mean, I say teachers do the most, to be honest. And some parents don't get to see it. They just feel like they're sending their children to school, especially in early childhood. They feel like they're sending their children to school to while away time. Like, what? Do you know what the teacher is doing? In fact, I am like their second parent. most times, I you are the one teaching them how to behave socially. You are helping them develop emotionally. You are helping their physical development, and of course their cognitive development. And it's a whole lot. It's a whole lot. And to be honest, most times you are the one doing everything. It's not like in the higher levels where you are just a subject teacher. You just go and then do your thing and you are out. You are doing everything. You are the mommy. You are the everything in that class. And the funny thing is they're leaving those children with you for a long amount of time. They get to spend most of their day with you than the parents themselves. So at some point I found it challenging. I would tell my colleague, I'll tell my colleague that, please, I've not had my own children yet. Somebody else will not stress me. I had a child. I had a child then, but then that's the joy of it. I had a child then. She didn't really like eating. In fact, to be honest, I myself, I don't really like eating. Maybe that's why I'm like this. But I had a child that they kept saying that girl is my daughter because the girl was not eating, and if you try to make her eat, she was going to throw up. The only way I could get her to eat was if I had a doll by the side, and we had to do pretend play. Imagine if I had a doll by the side and she has a spoon and a dish and all that. We had to do pretend play. I'll tell her, okay, so this is it. I'm going to be feeding you while you feed the doll. For every spoon I give to you, yes, that was the only way I could make her eat. And that was it. And imagine, so most times she didn't, the mother would just say, please, take her. She would tell me, she has not had breakfast this morning. I'm like, okay. She has not had breakfast this morning. She refused to take her tea. So everything down to like, the mother would say, please make sure she eats before she comes back home, because when she comes back home, I cannot deal with her behavior around food. So to be honest, I was like, it was difficult for me to like really accept these things at the beginning, but now with my full chest, I'm like, okay, I'm the mommy. At some point, there was this session. One of my pupils came to me and said, my mommy said you are the mommy of the class. I said, yes, your mommy is right. Your mommy is right. She started calling me Mommy Lucy. I'm like, yes, she's right. I am the mommy of this class. So one of the challenges is just the poor remuneration for teachers. And, most times, and I'm glad the narrative is changing, most times people see teaching as that job that you do to have a lot of time. They just say, are you not a teacher? What are you doing? Like, they just feel like you're not doing so much. But thank God we teachers are putting ourselves out there. We are showing the world the different things that we are doing. We are showing people all the different things that we are doing to let them know that this teaching job is not a walk in the park as it seems. It's just that we have mastered the art and we know how to multitask. We know how to, balance it out. That's why we are here. Because some of these parents, they can't even stand or spend or engage their children for 1 hour. And they are looking for the next place to ship them to, or, put them so that they can have their peace. So really, that's just one of the challenges I've had. And the fact that most times people don't really like to own up to say they are teachers. I don't know, there's this, how do I put it now? Is this stigma? Should I call it stigma? There's this vibe around being a teacher. I remember one time a parent came to pick their child up, and the parent had not met me. So I went for drop off. I went to drop the child. And the parent looked at me and said, "Are you my child's teacher?" I was like, "Yes, I am." And the parent said, "Why are you a teacher? Why are you a teacher? Why are you a teacher? You should be a model." And I rolled my eyes. I don't understand. Excuse me, I don't understand. You should be a model. I don't know what you're doing here. You should try being a model. Maybe you work in a bank or something. I'm like, okay. I just said thank you so much, and then I left. So really, there's this projection people have towards teachers. They just feel like a teacher should be that old lady that dresses in oversized suits or wears oversized skirts and all that. But I am glad the narrative is changing. The narrative is changing. We are many out there, and we're causing a change. We're bringing a different wave to this whole education sector. So I'm really happy that things are changing. So that's it for me. Yeah.
Thank you. So a quick one. You said the narrative should change. Truly, thank God that a lot of teachers are putting themselves out there, so that everybody gets to know that this teaching job, as much as it's stressful and all that, there's another side to it. Someone had also told me before that you don't even look like a teacher. You don't. I mean, that was part of the. That's part of the story behind the Millionaire Teacher. I told myself that I wasn't gonna look the part of a rugged or like a poor teacher. Do you understand? And I wasn't doing so much. It's just about how you present yourself and how you. Do you understand? It's not. I didn't break the bank to Gambia. I'm not even a designer kind of person that I'll come and put Gucci this. I don't even do that. It's from how you smell. Parents ask you, what perfume are you wearing? Do you understand? So as little as that. What brand are you wearing? And I don't put all those things in my head. I was just like, okay, I'll get the name. I'll get back and put the name and all that. It's not so much about that. It's so much about your personality and all that. When you go out there, how do you present yourself? So a lot of teachers need to also understand that. And I think you should also consider doing modeling by the side, because I think so too. I mean, why do you have the features?
I think so too.
No, because you're a teacher doesn't mean you cannot be modeling by the side.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think you should contact Pedro Prince. Yeah, because she actually did model while she was teaching, right? So I think you should contact and you guys should get talking so that you know how to balance that. And then the part of people used to say, go into teaching, teaching will give you more time to
It's a lie.
Even if they know that teaching takes a whole lot of your time.
It does.
Because you see, someone said it, passionate EYE says that true, you should be a model by the side. You see, let them blood.
Okay, I'll take that. I'll take that.
Thank you.
I'll take note of that. I'll try that in the
Okay, now the angel of light is moving and saying you should try it. It doesn't have to be runway modeling. Yes, it could just be face up and all that. So I wanted to do it when I was in school. So, but I just didn't have the I didn't have the energy for it. Okay, so let's continue. Like this teaching thing, people don't know the work that goes into it. The before, the while you're in the classroom, the after, and then you're not dealing with you're not dealing with papers. You're dealing with human beings. You're dealing with flesh and blood. Your sadness affects the classroom, the mood of the classroom.
Yeah.
Your excitement affects the mood of the classroom. Whenever it's time for sports, my colleagues push me forward, and they're like, because of your energy, the energy that you bring to it. Even if the children are not excited, there's a way you get the children excited. So we were talking about the nursery rhymes. I was really, really interested in it because I know there was this copper, a youth corps member that came to serve in the school where I was teaching before. And then she just couldn't, she studied early childhood education. She didn't know nursery rhymes. And I felt like, you just graduated. How can you not know nursery rhymes?
If you teach that in school, I just told you now, they don't teach that in school. You learn on your own.
She couldn't defend that, so she couldn't say that. But you are saying it now. Do you understand? And she also studied early childhood education. So you can imagine that. So when people come in, I studied education, you expect so much. That's one of the downsides. Like, people expect you to know all, to know everything. Like, once they ask you one question, you should be able to know and all that. Everybody is a work in progress, right? You don't have to everything. You don't have to know everything. But the little that you know, make the most with it. I like how you were now writing about your experiences, and you started your blog to put out your experiences so that other people can learn and all that. Please, we'll need the link to your blog so that we can go. Just type in the link to your blog. Yeah.
All right. I'm going to do that.
Teaching skills in the unit.
You see that? I like that. We are saying the truth here.
Wow. Okay now. So this is something that the education space should look into. They should really, really look into it because it's very, very important. That is part of the reasons why sometimes people look down on teachers and they're like, okay, apart from the monetary part. So the monetary part now, there are schools that, so lastly, let me pin it. So I've pinned your blog so that we can all go through, right? There's a lot to learn there. So apart from the monetary part, so before now, teachers are always priced based on what are you really doing? You're not doing a lot now. And you mentioned the early years part. Parents will just say they are not learning anything. It's not ABC. They are not doing anything. But teach them, keep them in the house and teach them. Keep them in the house and teach them. And they will not keep them in the house to teach. They will say, I can. So imagine a parent that was sending the child to school. She will not go through the stress of feeding the child. She will send the child to you. Why? So you can imagine that kind of parent, right? And she will not come and tell you that you're not doing anything. So at that point, you are role playing to make that child eat. You are the teacher of other children. What would happen to them? You see, you now become octopus. Exactly. That child, and you're also concentrating on other children at the same time. And just imagine this: how many children you have to do such roles with and all that.
I mean,
so when you talk about feeding, it makes me. I also can relate. There are a lot of things you are saying that I can actually really, really relate. Maybe because I've taught the early years. How
I'm experienced.
For our children at the time,
so you know that I'm not lying. You know that
person to feed them. They don't want any other person to feed them. You are the only one. And during lunch, where I used to work, you can only eat in the dining, right? We don't eat in the classroom. Yeah. So that eating in the dining, if you don't get to eat before school starts, that means you eat during lunchtime. while you are feeding with the children, right? And if you don't
Yes.
eat during lunchtime, the next time you have the opportunity to eat will be after school. So just
It's the truth, yeah.
so just imagine that you are feeding 4 children at a time, and you have limited time for lunch. You are carrying one here. Some will say, there's this particular child, if you don't carry her, she will not eat. You have to carry her to feed her. And you're also attending to other children. Or is it the one that
Exactly.
or is it the one that I have to take my phone to the dining and play Netflix? What is this cartoon? I've forgotten the cartoon. I have to play it for the child so that the child can eat. So these are things that people don't even do afterwards. These are the sacrifices that teachers make. And the parents will come, wow, he finished his food. Are you sure?
Exactly. They don't know the magic. I don't know.
This too. Yeah, no, it's not PJ Maxx. No, it's not PJ Maxx. It's they don't talk. Is it Bloomba or something? Sorry, if I go on Netflix, I remember. Because it was just for that child that I used to play that. He used to request for it. And then I cannot play it in class when other children, they are doing other things and all that. I'll just promise, okay, don't worry. When we go for lunch, I'll play it for you. No, not Blippi. Blippi talks. No. Blippi does educate and that guy that talks now. So it's not like this one is. Oh, sorry, I've forgotten the name.
Don't worry. I find it out.
Alright. So like these things happen for real. I can actually really relate with what you're saying. Like you can imagine that child will go home, the parents will struggle. Just imagine weekends, the child will not really feed. But during Monday to Friday, that is when, and the moment they see that, parents see that, this child, they put this one, this child was able to eat. The next day, they increase it. They increase it.
No, exactly. You have to do the magic.
They increase it.
You don't have to keep doing your magic.
And they're giving you more stress.
I'm telling you.
You went through a lot to achieve this particular level. And then they'll not ask more for you again. And when they add more for you, and you just be like, what is this? Can't these parents give you? Because that's not the only child you're attending to. You're also attending to other children. So you can imagine that stress on the teacher.
Exactly.
And this is a stress that is not quantified. Like you can't see it. You can only see it.
Exactly. Yeah. So one thing that has helped me, navigate all these times, when I know that I need to, I usually have a goal. I say I want my children to become more independent as they go along the way, so that the stress wouldn't be so much on me. What I do is I begin to encourage them. When I see that they are making the steps, I begin to encourage them, and you see that they will be eager to please the teacher. When I see somebody eating by themselves, I'm like, wow, I like how so and so person good eating. Oh, you are eating that food, is making me so hungry. And before you know, the other child that has been, reluctant about eating all by themselves will begin to, that child will be challenged to try to eat themselves. Just little things like that. And before the end of the session, I have like 99%. I know I wouldn't have 100. I have like 99% of children that are, independent, even after eating. Yes, even after eating, I make it a point of duty that they clear up after themselves. And I encourage children that are doing the right thing. I'm like, wow, I like how this person is, clearing up the whole space, making our class really nice. And before you know what's going on, everybody wants the teacher to call their name. But that's just the way it works. So over time, maybe when we start, settling in and all that, and children are trying to, get into the mood, get into the whole school system and all that kind of stuff. You might have some few that are independent that, you can begin to pair them with. Maybe what I do, if I say a child that eats and a child that doesn't eat, I can put them side by side. Maybe when he sees, or he or she sees the other child eating, they're encouraged to eat. And as they're eating, I'm using my words. As an early years teacher, that's something I had to learn. As an early years teacher, I had to learn to communicate with my children. Like, I am talking from the beginning. I keep telling myself, I keep saying that I am not a talkative. But, I mean, since I became a teacher, all the talk that I've not been talking, I've started saying all of them. So, from the beginning, I'm telling you, as soon as they walk through the door, you have to keep talking, engaging them in conversation, because, I mean, that's the only way to build their language. That's the way to build their vocabulary. That's the way to build their communication skills. That's the way to help them express themselves. So as soon as they come into the classroom, I am talking all the way till the end of school day. So when I get back home, I am exhausted. I'll just say that I've used all my words for the day. That's the good part. That's the joy of it. In the long run, when you see these children begin to exhibit this character, all the skills that you want them to have in the first place, that's the joy of it, to be honest. That's it.
That progress is very, very important. And then
exactly.
they always look forward to pleasing their teacher. Like,
yeah.
I'll say, do you want Miss Mary to be sad today? You say, no. So do you want me to be happy? Say, yes. All right, so hurry up, eat your breakfast and all that. And that is very, very important. You have to constantly communicate with them. As you're communicating with them, they are building up their vocabulary, they are learning words, and when they go back home, hey, these children, apart from the ones that you are saying, when support staff are talking, they are listening. I have to warn my support staff, please, don't come and put me in trouble. Because a child went home and said something, and I know in my life and in my next life, I would have said that, and it didn't come from me. So I have to want everyone around me be mindful of what you say. While you're in
exactly,
while we have children in class, it's very, very important, because you will not know the one they will pick. And the moment they pick, parents will come on you. They learned it from school. Then you now start explaining. You now start speaking English.
You start explaining. That's true.
Unnecessary explanation that you shouldn't have been involved in. So
that's true.
Wow, it's been wow. It's almost an hour. It's been like you're just thinking about our experiences. Like, you see, these things are very, very important when we talk about our journey and our stories. What we've said today is not all your journey. It's not all the stories that you have to. It's just a tip of the iceberg. But I tell you that these little things can go a long way. There are some teachers that would be in the space where you were when you started, and you learned you learned the nursery rhyme and how to navigate teaching the early years and all that. So there are teachers that have been there for a long time. I still have something to learn from you. There are teachers that are just coming in that will hear your story and learn something from you as well. So even the feeding process, there are teachers that would also learn something. So you might imagine the role play that you're doing for the child to get the child to feed. So you can imagine that. And some children are, some teachers are struggling. This particular child, I don't know what to do. Every time, always train up, always train up, always train up. You understand that kind of thing? So we can't overemphasize the importance of sharing our journeys and our stories so that other people can learn from us. It's very, very important. So thank you very much, Lucy. I would just like you to give your final words. Sorry, please, if anybody has any question, let's use the last 5 minutes of our time to ask a question, any questions anywhere, while our guest gives a final word. Please just share your final words with us. Then,
Okay, so before we round up, I would really want to say that, see, the teaching profession is one of service. There are times you make sacrifices. Don't be tired, because I mean, we are working with human beings. We are working with human beings. Don't be tired of making those sacrifices. As you are making those one thing for me is, when I am, all the children I work with, I try to, position myself as their parents. I try to put myself in the parents' shoes. I begin to look at it and say, what do I want? What will I expect as the parent of this child? How will I want my child to behave, or what are the outcomes I expect from this child? I'm sending my child to school. What do I want from that whole experience for my child? So I put myself in that parent's shoes, and I relate with those children that way, so that I don't just look at it like, the child did not eat their food, they should go, or it's the parents' business, or there's some attitude that you shouldn't have, especially when you're working with children. Just see them as they are. They are innocent, they need help, so have your mindset that yes, you're going to make sacrifice. I can't even count how many times I have taken my food back home. I know it's bad. It's bad. Yeah, I can't even count how many times, but that's part of the sacrifice. So what I do is I make sure I try to eat in the mornings, and then I just snack in between, so that I wouldn't be so exhausted or so hungry, and I am fagged out and I'm beginning to react with the children or stuff like that. So number one, make the sacrifice. Know your why. Why are you a teacher? I can tell you that there are several times that I have thought about, so what is it self? Let me just leave the whole teaching profession. After all, it's so stressful. I don't think I should even be here several times. But the fact that I have a why, I have my reasons why I am in this profession, that's what has kept me going through the years. And again, please don't remain where you are. Now I'm saying these stories and we're laughing about it, but I've taken time to, grow. I've taken time to research. I've taken time to study, to find out, okay, what do I do when I'm in this situation? What do I do when a child has refused to eat? What do I do when a child, or I'm trying to potty train a child and a child is refusing to, cooperate with that whole process? What do I do when I have a child that is hitting other children in my space? What do I do? So it's from different learnings. I have taken different courses. I'm still learning, in fact, still learning. So it's, as a teacher, it's a never ending process of learning. If you have refused to learn or refused to upgrade yourself as a teacher, you are doing yourself a disservice and the humans that you're working with. So it's not just yourself. So even the people in your space, it's a disservice to them. So please, it's I don't know, it's an unending circle. That's what I would say, it's an unending circle. So be ready to make the sacrifice, and enjoy yourself as you do so. Enjoy yourself. When I'm saying make the sacrifice, I'm not saying that you should kill yourself. I'm not saying you should kill yourself in the process. I'm saying that there are some things that you should be able to, let go or pass, like give up, just to see your children grow or your students grow, and you yourself grow. Sacrifice for yourself to grow. You have to take the time out to learn, even outside your whole teaching and everything space. You have to take the time out to learn. So that's it for me. I think that's where we'll wrap up. But if you have any question, I can answer the questions. If there's any other question, you can send me a DM or anything. I would be happy to respond. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure having you join us today. And we've learned a lot. See my daughter.
Thank you.
I've been writing a lot. Thank you very much. It was nice having you. It was nice hearing you and sharing your journey and your stories with us. Yes, you said something in your final words, sacrifices, but also while you're sacrificing, enjoy yourself. It's very, very important. Don't give so much of yourself that you cannot get something out of the process. The value you're sharing, first of all, you are the value. And while you're sharing the value, remember that value is a two-way thing. The more you are giving of yourself and you're also receiving your experiences while you're making sacrifices, your experiences will teach you things that will step you up in your game. So that's
exactly
my lesson for that. As much as you're sacrificing, make sure that you enjoy yourself. Thank you very much, Lucy. It was nice having you. Thank you everyone that joined. It was quite an engaging session. We had a lot of people commenting and all that. Thank you very much. We just have to end it here now. Thank you very much. This is the Millionaire Teacher Show. See you next time with another guest. Take care.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you.